Well, good evening. I know we have met this week, but I have missed you on Her Say. And of course, it's a delight to be here this evening to tell you what is happening in the world of news. But beyond that, get to see what, of course, Her Say has in store for you. This is TV47 Weekend Edition. My name is Linda Alela. Welcome on board. And as I have said, this is the night of Her Say. And tonight, we are honored to have a very special guest who will be joining us, a trailblazer that is in the Kenyan politics, a dedicated leader and an advocate that is for community development. She is none other than the Deputy Governor of Bungoma County, that is Mrs. Jennifer Mbatiani. She'll be gracing the set this evening. Of course, she has been at the forefront of numerous initiatives that are targeted at making good the lives of women and basically the citizens across, of course, the country, from healthcare to education, infrastructure, empowerment. Amid all these challenges, she has managed to exhibit leadership that has made a significant impact, and therefore we'll be looking at that shortly. But it's also important that we are updated on the news stories of the day, and here are the highlights. Tonight, police on the lookout for lorry driver involved in an accident where 4 people perished after a 14-seater matatu crashed into a lorry near Salga along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway.
So kuna lori ilikuwa inakuja na they collide ilikutana.
And President Ruto returns home to calls to drop his resolve to send officers to Haiti. This as bandits wage on with attacks in Baringo.
Na watoto hata sasa ukiambia waende shule hawana matumaini, wanasema tutasoma ya nini? So hii
Nazil, you are senior politician, hii kitu rekebishe. Sisi tumejipanga, kama utasikiza hii maombi yetu, tunaenda jia kutini.
Mayor leaders to move to court on Monday, seeking to overturn the decision by Mombasa and Kilifi counties to ban the distribution, usage and sale of Muguka.
Kula miraa miaka yote, hata kanisani tunatoa ikiwa sadaka, na mbinguni tutaenda. Sasa wewe unakuja kutuambia miraa haifai, mbona usituambie hata waru haifai?
Well, the hashtag, as always, is TV47 Weekend Edition. And, of course, Her Say, our sign language interpreter, is none other than Rhoda Nyamai. We have lots lined up for you, but we start off on a somber note as 4 people have died, while 8 others are nursing injuries at the Nakuru Level 5 hospital following a grisly road accident at Salga along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway. The 14-seater matatu belonging to Eldoret Crossroads Sacco that was heading to Nakuru from Eldoret collided with a truck that is on the rear, killing 5 people on the spot, as Chichi Josephine now tells us.
Confirming the incident, Nakuru County Police Commander Samuel Ndanye noted that the 14-seater matatu belonging to Eldoret Crossroads Sacco that was heading to Nakuru from Eldoret collided with a truck on the rear, killing 4 people on the spot. The affected were a group of church members who were traveling to Makeni for a funeral.
Kufika mbele kidogo ya Salga ni kama si tulianza tena kushikwa na usingizi na realize baadaye kama tumeanguka tu chini na accident ilifanyika. So kuna lori ilikuwa inakuja na they collide ilikutana. Sisi wote tulikuwa tunaenda Mashishi.
So mimi nilikuwa Nakuru, nilikuwa na monitor. Wakikuja nikaambia ukifika Nakuru niambie nikuje niwasindikize. So between saa 7, saa 6 na nusu mpaka saa 7 nikalala. So nikajaribu kumpigia kitu around saa 8. Saa 8 na nusu hivi. So hakurespond na simu. So nikashangaa labda ni network. So baadaye mmoja wa wenye walikuwa kwa hiyo safari akanipigia akaniambia nikuje county hospital.
The police boss added that the police are tracking the driver of the truck that fled the scene after the accident. Nakuru Level 5 Hospital Chief Nursing Officer Afaksada Kemboi confirmed that 7 people are nursing injuries in the facility, while 1 person, the driver of the matatu, was treated and discharged.
Can confirm today early hours around 4 a.m. we received a total of 8 patients from the Nkata RTA. So of the 8 patients, we were able to treat and discharge one patient home who happens to be the driver. The other 7 patients, they are stable. 4 of them had fractures, 2 had cuts on the head, but all patients are stable. We've taken 2 to theatre.
The 4 who died include 3 women and 1 male. Their bodies have been preserved at the Nakoro Annex Funeral Home. The driver of the lorry that was hit is on the run. Cheche, Josephine, TV47.
And several people, including a KDF officer, have been seriously injured after a battery of bandits attacked Loruk and Mainonin areas in Baringo County, causing mayhem and leading away more than 100 livestock. During the early morning attack, residents recount just how heavily armed the bandits attacked were, and of course the area spraying bullets anyhow and leading to the reported injuries as other locals fled the villages. Residents have blamed the security agencies in Baringo for failing to avert the attack despite having prior information about the incident.
Loruk Center in Baringo County. The silence and desertion here is testimony enough to the magnitude of the most recent attack made by suspected armed bandits in this area in broad daylight. According to the residents, over 70 heavily armed bandits raided Loruk and Mainonin areas during morning hours. The attackers are reported to have sprayed bullets, injuring a middle-aged woman before driving away over 100 livestock.
Saa mbili na nusu wakaanza kupika sisi, hata mimi nimkaacha hapo, walizushambulia, wakaanza kupeleka ng'ombe ya mzee Joana, mbuzi ya mzee Joana hapo pasta na kuelekeza huko chini. Kufika katikati hapo sasa KDF wakafika. Wakapikana na KDF, askari wakajaribu kurudisha mbuzi wengine, mbuzi wengi wakaenda. Hao wakora ni zaidi ya 100. Ndio walikuja jana. Walikuwa zaidi ya 100. Hao walipika askari mpaka askari hata wengine wakatoroka.
Wamekuja leo asubuhi. Kuna hata mama alikuwa anaenda kibarua akapatikana. Sijui sasa huyo mama hajakuwa na punduki, ana mbuzi, lakini alipatikana akapigwa risasi. Hatujui hata hali yake saa hizi iko namna gani, alikimbizwa hospitali.
Despite efforts by the security forces, the attackers still made away with some of the stolen livestock after a heavy exchange with the KDF officers. During the fiery exchange, one security officer was injured. Residents here claim that the security agencies in Baringo had prior information about this attack, but little was done to avert the crisis.
Sasa hao wakora tulisikia tangia jana ya kwamba walikuwa wameingia na maaskari wakao wanaenda kufanya patrol na wakapata penye wako, lakini hawakuchukua hatua yoyote. Mpaka leo asubuhi sasa ndio tulivamiwa. Saa 2 hivi mchana tu.
Kwanza jana ndio tuliambiwa watu kutoka sehemu za Pokot kule chini zaidi ya 150 hivi wamekuja na wako na sisi hapa Baringo kaskazini. Kutoka tukaishi na hofu.
In response to the attack, the KDF has deployed 3 choppers in the area, 2 to help pursue the bandits. Locals here expressing deep concerns about the security situation in the North Rift.
Na watoto walitoroka mpaka saa hizi sijapata watoto 3 bado wako msituni, sijapata. Nikajaribu kufuata mbuzi nikasidikana sijapata hiyo mbuzi.
Rais anatuambia mrudi nyumbani na vile watu wetu wameumia. Aswa hiyo mama kama angeambiwa arudi Loruk, angepigwa risasi. Huyo mama aliambiwa rudi nyumbani kutoka hapa IDB kama Mainonin. Akaambia rudi nyumbani huko. Watu wangaratuko kwa rudi, wako shule, Chepkwai, Ngaratuko Primary School. Lakini saa hii imekuwa tishio. Rais yako Amerika anataka kupeleka askari yetu waende Haiti. Na hapa Haiti ingine iko hapa Baringo. Kwa nini yeye mwenyewe asitoe hiyo ndege, asitoe askari, akuja amalize bandits?
And as the government insists on sending troops on a peacekeeping mission in the Caribbean Haiti, the people of Baringo had a word to the head of state.
Tunaomba rais wetu mpendwa asikie kilio chetu. Hasa kama sisi wakazi wa Baringo. Tumekuwa tukilia sana. Tumekuwa tukimwaka machozi. Na tunaamini ya kwamba Mungu atakusa yeye abadilishe wale wangeenda Haiti wakuje watuokolee.
Arnold Adidi, TV47.
Well, as if to respond to those cries, President William Ruto has jetted back into the country this evening, where he is facing increasing calls to drop the decision to send Kenyan police officers to Haiti. And even as a section of religious leaders join in the fray of those asking the president to sort out the banditry menace in the country first, well, the president insists that the march to Haiti is on. Our reporter Kisewa Emery with that.
One of the most important issues that came out of President William Ruto's official United States state visit was the deployment of Kenyan police officers to the Caribbean nation of Haiti to deal with gangs which continue to cause death and destruction.
It is the reason why we made this decision, knowing very well that the responsibility for security in Haiti is a shared responsibility. Every country like Kenya and others who believe in freedom, self-determination, who believe in democracy, and who believe in security will do what Kenya is doing. So we are doing this to forestall and to stop more people losing their lives to gangs.
In the final hours of his 4-day tour of the U.S., President William Ruto met with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, where the deployment of the Boys in Blue featured prominently.
We consider the situation in Haiti, that it requires the input, the participation, the contribution of all people and all nations who believe in self-determination, who believe in a real who believes in freedom. And it's time that we all show up for it.
The officers were expected to be deployed Friday, but an advance team on the ground intimated that some logistics were not ready and hence the postponement. Meanwhile, gang violence in Haiti is getting worse as 3 missionaries, including an American couple, were murdered Friday. The administration of U.S. President Joe Biden is pushing for the deployment to be expedited, with gangs controlling most of the nation's capital city, Port-au-Prince. This evening, the president jetted back to the U.S. and he is seemingly coming back to heighten backlash over his unwavering decision. North Rift leaders are strongly opposed to the deployment, questioning why police should be sent to a country 12,000 miles away as the region continues to be terrorized by bandits. The head of the Anglican Church in Kenya, Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit, joining the fray of those asking the president to drop the idea.
Haitaonekana vema kwa macho ya Wakenya tukituma askari wetu kwenda kulinda nje ya Haiti na kuwapatia hawa amani kama sisi kuna sehemu zetu ambazo hazina amani. Tunaomba ya kwamba tunapofanya hiyo basi tuhakikishe nyumbani ni salama, ndio tukue mfano mzuri hata kimataifa.
The deployment is expected to face significant challenges such as the language barrier, rules of engagement and an exit strategy, with Haitian gangs also more used to the urban landscape. The deployment would also be wary of not repeating mistakes done by UN interventions in the past, where UN peacekeepers directly caused a cholera epidemic that claimed over 10,000 Haitian lives. The world will be watching. Kisewa Emery, TV47.
Well, indeed, as Kisewa Emery says, the world will be watching. And now to some bit of story Zajaba. Embu leaders have vowed to head to court. That is on Monday in a bid to lift the ban on Muguka in Mombasa and Kilifi counties, citing lack of adequate consultation. That is before the decision. Residents today protested against the decision, disrupting transportation on Embu Meru Highway, as Sheila Chelagat details.
Angry residents and farmers of Muguka protested along this Embu Meru Highway, lamenting that for 3 days they have registered losses worth thousands following the ban of the stimulant in Mombasa and Kilifi counties.
Sisi wote tumelelewa kwa miraa, tumekula miraa miaka yote. Hata kanisani tunatoa ikiwa sadaka na mbinguni tutaenda. Sasa wewe unakuja kutuambia miraa haifai, mbona usituambie hata waru haifai?
1 week before this ban was effected, Mombasa governor had banned Miraa and Muguka businesses near schools, statistics showing that the most consumers of the herbal stimulant were those between ages 15 to 25, to which the Mombasa governor backs his decision of the ban, insisting that the fate of the next generation lies squarely on this drastic step.
An average of about 20 leaves are enough to start making someone have toxic imaginations. 20 leaves. Imagine a child consuming this at school hours.
But for these farmers in Embu, this war against Muguka is unwarranted. This plant they have known for years is harmless and just like any other cash crop.
Mimi mwenyewe nimetumia miraa miaka 25 na sijawahi kuwa na madhara yoyote ya kiafya kutokana na utumizi wa miraa.
Leaders of the affected areas now have vowed to head to the corridors of justice, seeking to have the ban lifted and pave way for sufficient consultations.
This economic subject, and we are reading politics in it. Amuka bwana Nazil, you are a senior politician. Hii kitu rekebishe. Sisi tumejipanga. Kama utasikiza hii maombi yetu, tunaenda jia kutini, and we are going to embarrass you because we shall set that order aside and the business will resume.
Hence, many farmers now wait on the Monday court date eagerly. The question that lingers is whether the move by the Kilifi and Mombasa county chiefs is the beginning of the war against drug abuse in the coastal region, and if the measures set will be fully implemented. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
The Azimio Brigade is asking its supporters to be prepared to go back to the streets in protest against the current state of the nation. Azimio leaders who trooped parts of Nairobi, where demolitions have taken place in recent weeks, have also lashed out at President's visit to the US, which they say will not benefit Kenyans.
Saturday afternoon, the convoy of Azimio leaders led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka trooped to the streets of Gikomba Market, the opposition calling out the president and the government for making Kenyans' lives even more difficult.
Na ni kuanzia sasa tutaanza kutembea tukiongozwa na Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, wale wengine wote ambao wanataka kutuunga wakoje twende kwa hii safari.
According to Azimio, they may be forced to ask their supporters back to the streets to express their displeasure in, among other things, the tax implications of the 2024 financial bill, the fake fertilizer scandal, the current state of education, the need to address challenges in the health sector, and the recent demolitions to those people living along the riverbanks. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has already sent signals to Azimio parliamentarians to reject the finance bill 2024.
Hii ushuru ya nyumba ambayo hata ushuru wenyewe wamekusema juzi wanataka ile mabilioni wamekusanya waende wanunue na inaitwa treasury bill. Sasa serikali inakopa kwa serikali. Finance bill 2024 ndio mbaya zaidi. Inaongeza ushuru kwa mafuta ya kupika. Wanataka kuleta ushuru kwa mkate jamani.
The leaders used the opportunity to give reasons why President Ruto's US state visit won't have much help to Kenyans, as it should be.
Kwa hivyo askari polisi, sio jeshi, askari polisi kupelekwa Haiti kinyume na sheria na katiba ya nchi ya Jamhuri ya Kenya si halali.
As the government is already in the process of demolishing structures constructed along riparian land, the opposition leaders accuse the head of state of unfair treatment. They now want victims be compensated heavily to a tune of 100,000 shillings.
Wengi hapa ni wanabiashara. Ukiona chombo hiki ni Mkenya alikuwa ameweka bidii hapa, maarifa, atengeneze pesa, anunulie watoto unga, na imebomolewa.
Sababu najua kuna watu ambao wamejenga kwenye mito ambao ni matajiri hawajaguswa, kwani kuna citizen number 1 na kuna citizen number 2.
Properties worth thousands of shillings were destroyed in Gikomba, Kamukunji constituency, along the riverbanks, as residents decry lack of a place to spend the night.
Sisi tunataka usaidizi, sahi hatujui tutaanza wapi. Stores zetu, workshops zetu zote ziko chini.
Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, more than 10,000 families in Tana Delta, Tana River County are experiencing the effects of heavy rains that caused flooding in most parts of the country. And according to the Kenya Red Cross Society, the situation is dire as residents grapple with lack of basic needs like food, shelter, and clean water. The residents have been living at the camp for months on end, all thanks to El Nino and the recent heavy rains that caused their homes to be flooded and inhabitable. They have thanked the Red Cross Society for the support that they have accorded them, with the Red Cross still on its mission to offer relief food and items to various victims of the floods. And yes, you are reminded that you need to be careful, especially in Nairobi. Even as late as this evening, we still continue to experience heavy rains, and therefore across the different parts of the country, please watch out. Let's take a look at that story.
For months on end, these residents of Tana River have lived under harsh, pitiful conditions.
Jamii household 280 watu walikesha kwa kukaa kwa sababu kukinyesha kidogo mvua inanyeshea juu kwa juu.
They are victims of the floods that forced them out of their homes and onto this camp, struggling to get even basic needs.
Shida yetu hapa ni shida ya kwanza ya maji, shida ya chakula na madawa na pia ng'ombe pia na mbuzi kidogo, shida ile pande ya ile dawa.
According to them, the camp is now their home, all thanks to the county government.
Hii maji si ya mara ya kwanza. Kutokea El Nino tulipata mateso kama hii na tukarudi kule, na kutokea Rift Valley fever tulijaribu kutoka sehemu ile tukaja mahali kwingine inaitwa BAMBA tukakaa.
What they now want is a better way of life. The tents are rather small for them and their families.
Darabala ile shindirua na nete pia yeye manaka alikuwa ameleta juisi mbili na sasa hii nyumba sio tunatakana hao watu manaka kule maadhirika kule Danisa.
The Kenya Red Cross Society has been on the front line of assisting the victims and say the situation is disheartening.
What I've seen today is resilience of people to, in the most dire circumstances, still love their children, want to feed their children, provide for a safe environment, what all of us mothers want.
However, they are continuing to offer relief to the victims of the floods while prioritizing their health.
We are getting secondary needs, including the need to reduce the risk of disease outbreaks, which is calling for concerted efforts.
Vera Alberta, TV47.
All right, now to some bit of health. And HIV, viral hepatitis epidemics and sexually transmitted infections are killing 2.5 million people every year globally. This is according to a new report by the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization has issued a new report flagging major increase in sexually transmitted infections amidst challenges in HIV and hepatitis. And as if that is not enough, there is also an increase in multi-resistant gonorrhea. Elizabeth Atieno now unpacks the grim statistics.
Every single day, 1 million people in the world are infected with at least one type of curable sexually transmitted infections, which include syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and trichomoniasis.
As of 2023, out of 87 countries where enhanced gonorrhea antimicrobial resistance surveillance was conducted, 9 countries reported elevated levels of resistance to the last line of treatment for gonorrhea.
In 2022, 8 million adults aged between 15 to 49 are reported to have contracted syphilis globally, with 230,000 syphilis-related deaths reported in the same period.
New data shows sexually transmitted diseases are on the rise in most regions. New syphilis cases among adults aged 15 to 49 years increased by nearly 1 million in 2022.
The 1 million increase in syphilis infections derailed efforts by WHO member states, who set on an ambitious plan to reduce the annual number of adult syphilis infections by tenfold by 2030, from 7.1 million to 0.71 million. World Health Organization says there are more than 30 different bacteria, viruses, and parasites known to be transmitted through sexual contact, including vaginal, anal, and oral sex. Some STIs can also be transmitted from mother to child during pregnancy, childbirth, and breastfeeding. Additionally, the WHO report indicates that during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a surge in adult and maternal syphilis, with 1.1 million cases reported, while associated congenital syphilis accounted for 523 cases per 100,000 live births annually.
The highest increase occurred in the region for the Americas and the African region.
On a positive note, new HIV infections have reduced from 1.5 million in 2020 to 1.3 million in 2022. However, 630,000 HIV-related deaths were reported in 2022. 13% of these occurring in children under the age of 15. 5 key population groups: men who have sex with men, people who inject drugs, sex workers, transgender individuals, and individuals in prisons and other closed settings still experience significantly higher HIV prevalence rates than the general population. In 2022, around 1.2 million new hepatitis B cases and nearly 1 million new hepatitis C cases were recorded. The estimated number of deaths from viral hepatitis rose from 1.1 million in 2019 to 1.3 million in 2022, despite effective prevention, diagnosis, and treatment tools. However, not all hope is lost. Out of the 8 pathogens linked to the greatest incidence of STIs, 4 are currently curable. They are syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and trichomoniasis. The World Health Organization has called on nations to accelerate efforts to address ongoing criminalization, stigma, and discrimination within health settings, particularly against populations most affected by HIV, viral hepatitis, and STIs. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Sports news brought to you by Maybet. Join Maybet leo upate free bet